So, I'm going to move this closer. This video is more of a personal video. And I do find it interesting. Again, and I should start promoting it more often. But on November the 18th, I'm going to be doing a 24-hour stream of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. And with this news, this is my first big red flag news. And I don't know how I fully feel about this, but again, from Bounding into Comics, YouTuber Lu2 explains the importance of forced trainer battles as reports indicate Pokemon Scarlet and Violet has removed the mechanic. And we'll go through what Lu2 said, and I have to agree with, I think it's a he. I have to agree with him. The forced trainer battles is such a unique... It's such a unique system where it helps you grow, it helps you train, it helps you kind of figure out what's going to be over here. Maybe this Pokemon is version exclusive, and he gets into a lot of this, but maybe this Pokemon's version exclusive. In order to see it for your Pokédex, to move on, you need to battle a trainer, and I don't like this. I don't like this. I like having to have forced trainer battles, because then it's like, okay, well, what's going to come up? Am I ready for this? Like, you take that first forest right before Brock. It's not... Is it Vermilion Forest? No. But that first, like, real area right before Brock. That forest you have to go through. And when you do that for the first time, like, this is your first sort of dungeon. It's a unique route. It's your first, like, unique area. And when you first do this area, bunch of bug catchers, bunch of young lasses, people of that nature, all throughout this map. And the whole, as you play it, constantly progress, you hit a bug catcher, he might have a poison type and gets your Pokemon poisoned. And if you don't have the proper antidotes, potions, things of that nature, you got to run back, and that's fun. It's fun to learn how to do this and learn the weaknesses of every Pokemon through trainer battles, but without it, I don't know what's going to happen. But let's get into it. Previews for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet state that the trainer battles are not forced, much to YouTuber Lu2's concern and disgust. I don't know if it's quite disgust, more concern. For those unfamiliar with the past games, Pokemon typically sees players battling against NPC trainers. When a player walks into the line of sight, the trainer will initiate a battle. Players could therefore sneak around certain trainers to avoid them. Previews for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet have revealed this may not be the case. However, as detailed in the previews shared by fan website Cerebi, trainers also fill out the overworld of Paldea 2, but unlike past games, you have to talk to them in order to start the battle. No longer will they spot you and force the battle to happen, which means if you do so wish, you can just completely skip trainers, and that's not fun. I like to do every single I like to beat every single trainer. Instead, those trainers will reportedly have a speech bubble above their head, inviting you to battle as you approach. This is consistent with previews from IGN, GameSpot, and Eurogamer. Some hedge their bets, wondering if some trainers will instigate battles, while others felt trainers could be easy to avoid in an open world game anyway. But I want them to approach me. I want to, even if it's open world, I want some trainers where you just can't avoid them. You gotta battle them, and I want that. Pokemon YouTuber Lu2 despaired at the news of trainer battles reportedly being optional, taking to social media to elaborate on his thoughts. And there's a lot. Okay, let's talk about why forced trainer battles are good. Trainers are a level design tool. They help to highlight bits of world in order to provide context as to how Pokemon Rain region is often constructed. How a Pokemon region is often constructed. If a Pokemon game did not have trainer battles as a mandatory part of the game, you would lack the finer details as to how these worlds are designed, Lutu proposed. Stupid gnat. Trainers that spin around have different types of Pokemon based on their class, have different design depending on their location. All of these would be significantly downplayed. I understand that after 20 plus years of gameplay that you might find it a bit boring, but they are such an integral teaching tool for a JRPG, especially for kids. If the big focus in Scarlet and Violet, so SV, is instead to catch yet also lacks what made catching such a big focus in a game like Legends Arceus, overworld catching, interesting movement, etc., what gameplay is made up for the removal of 90% of the game's battles? Well, Lutu inquired. Trainers are also stopgap to judge your growth, Lutu explained. And by removing that, the game has a strange sense of progression when compared to past entries, where about 20 trainers are the only ones that can help tether your progression to the world design. Where about 20 trainers are the only ones that can help. Okay. He elaborated, hikers in past games are associated with a type of environment, team composition, and general design that I'd have missed out on if they were completely optional. It makes trainer classes and designs feel less special when the game doesn't force you to engage with them. And I have to agree, like, everybody knows several of the NPC types. You got your ace trainers, you got your young glasses, you got your school kids, you got your Route 1 trainer. I can't remember what it is. It's not young glass. It's the boy. But then you get your bird keepers that always have bird types. You get your hikers, which will either have a rock, ground, or fighting type. Sometimes they'll switch it up on you and throw in a flying type. You get your swimmers that always have water types of some sort or something associated with a water type. You got your black belts that usually just have fighting types. They're so unique in what they are. And because of that, people kind of resonate with one type and maybe don't like another type. Like back when I was solely doing fire runs just for fun, I had every time I ran into a swimmer or something like that, I would lament it. I would hate it. But I'd have to figure it out. So that's what I did. Start teaching fire Pokemon Sunny Day Solar Beam, which is a combo. It's not a good combo, but it's a combo. Yeah. Then it's all about learning these things that without forced trainer battles, new kids aren't going to be able to learn some of the more finite details of everything. Because when you first come into this game, they don't blatantly tell you who's weak to everything. Although they probably will start doing that, but there's some typings that are very limited and you don't really know all their weakness. Take dragon type. Dragon's weak to dragon, ice, and fairy. Like that's effective against them, but they're strong against dragon and basically everything else. Not super effective, but usually effective. Fairy is still very unique, and I still can't tell you all their weaknesses off the top of my head, except for poison and steel. But if you don't encounter a lot of these Pokemon in the wild, and you don't encounter them via trainer battles, you're not going to learn where their weaknesses are. And then there's another thing, and I hit on it before, but Lutu brings it up perfectly. Well, we'll get into it, but let's get back to the thing. I think they can easily coexist with an open world and don't understand this at all. It's easy to say that adding more options to a game equal good, without considering that the mandatory gameplay isn't being replaced with something just as meaningful. Lutu expounded, especially given how restricted this game feels on the catching front when compared to PLA. It's just weird to me. And PLA was the first... It's not main series, but it sort of is. It's kind of like side main. But it's like the first sort of main series game that didn't have Pokemon battles. And it was awkward. It was unique in its own regard, trying to find all the Pokemon, try to get them all to spawn, get them all in your little Pokédex, in your little Pokemon journal. And it was cool, and there was a reason to catch every Pokemon multiple times in multiple ways, see them do different things, so you can fully fill out the decks and make the first official Pokédex. But if your main focus again is not to, because that's what they replaced a lot of the Pokemon battles with. Granted, they did end up adding Pokemon battles into the game. They had some Pokemon battles to do, and they were unique in their own regards. They just didn't feel quite the same. If you're trying to figure out what I'm saying. Well, trainer battles, let's say that. And they weren't exactly... There wasn't a whole lot, so you didn't do it a whole lot. And without that, you had to focus solely on the catching mechanics. And there's some very cool catching mechanics. But if you don't have that mechanic, the forced play, you don't know what you're up against. You don't know, hey, am I prepared for this area? There's so much to the forced gameplay that Lutu doesn't even fully get into, but he kind of hints at some of it. And I'll continue after I get done with this. Oh, I forgot to mention music. Lutu continued. So many kids especially might just miss out on getting an awesome tune that'll get stuck in their heads for years because they aren't forced to engage with it. And I think that's a shame. Lutu refers to the encounter or I meet music, a short loop of a few seconds typically matching the trainer type. Players while a trainer speaks to you before the battle begins. That sentence feels weird. This is usually not done for gym leaders, the Elite Four, or the champion, with Cynthia from Diamond and Pearl being a notable exception, and Cynthia's theme is still the greatest theme ever. Cynthia is also still the greatest champion ever, and you can fight me on that one. And you will lose. Cynthia is the greatest. Also, I can assure you tons of Pokemon aren't just out in the field, and some will be... And this is this is one of the biggest points. I hinted at it earlier. I didn't fully expound upon it. But certain Pokemon aren't in your game. There are things called version exclusive Pokemon. And granted, you'll end up having to... In order to get all the Pokemon, you have to have both versions or have access to at least the other version. And Because of that, there are several Pokemon that you will not see in your game. Period. You will not see, like if I go, I'll use Sword and Shield as an example. Stonejourner and Ice Cube. They were version exclusives. Unless you saw a trainer have one, you weren't going to see it in the game that in your respective games. I believe it was Sword had Stonejourner, Shield had Ice Cube, or it could be the other way around. But you weren't going to see the other one in the other game unless a trainer had it. So you're not going to fill out your Pokédex. And Lu 2 brings up this amazing point. I can assure you, tons of Pokemon aren't just out in the field, and some will be behind trainer battles. Lu 2 dismissed. In past Pokemon games, a lot of the I want this on my team moments came from seeing it on a trainer's team, and not because of the happenstance of wild run-ins. Wild run RNG. There's much to be said about the impact this could have on healing items or level design to teach the player about strategic, otherwise patient ways to avoid trainers, etc. I can't see what is substituting that very meaningful design that could coexist with trainer battles, Lu 2 concluded with dripping sarcasm. But there's something that he kind of points at, doesn't fully get into, but one of the most unique parts of forced trainer battles is also Victory Road. Now, I'm trying to think, because I've only seen some of the leaks. I stopped after. The closer you get to release day, the more I start pulling away because there's certain things I don't want to get the story leaked or anything like that. But there's this thing called Victory Road. If you've played the games, you know Victory Road. Victory Road has a bunch of forced trainer battles on it that you can't avoid. Those trainer battles are to basically help you establish, hey, are you prepared for the Elite Four? Are you prepared for, in Sword and Shield, the final Pokemon League battle? Are you prepared for this? Because if not, go back and start training. Or battle a bunch of us and get your level up to make sure that you are absolutely sure you can take these people on. And there are so many amazing moments from Victory Road that you get those final couple forced battles right before you step into the Elite Four, and these aren't like your rival battles. These are the trainer battles, and you get that final one with maybe that really strong ace trainer, and he's looking you down, and he's like, and this is going to be that trainer that just you struggle with, but that helps you grow and helps you learn that, hey, maybe I should start doing this more, maybe I should do that more, maybe I shouldn't be focusing so much on pure power. Granted, a lot of the gameplay is, hey, if you're playing the story, focus on pure power, don't focus on setup. But if you're doing a Nuzlocke run, those setup styles, trying to make sure your team survives long, is important. I'm still curious on how a Nuzlocke will run on this game, but we'll figure that out. Without these forced trainer battles, I don't know what's going to happen. I think the game still will be good, but it's not going to feel the same. It's not going to feel like when you first go up against that youngster Toad, that first youngster, you know the one from the OG game, that first youngster with the Rattata. You know when you cross him for the first time, you're like, oh, here's a battle. Let's go up against it. You're not going to have that. You're not Granted, I'm sure they'll probably find a way to keep it in. It will be, because you kind of have to have it in some way. Maybe just the bits that we've seen just don't have it, but we'll see what happens. I want to get your guys' thoughts down in the comments below. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. Share it out with all your friends. Hit that subscribe button and hit that bell for every time I put out a new video or go live. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye for now.